All right.
Okay, we will reconvene the 2018 budget hearings. It is 10:30 on November 1st. Happy November. Hope everybody survived Halloween's last night. We were busy. Okay, so we'll get going. Today we have the domestic relations judge, and we will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. The one thing I can tell you is amazing what a difference a year makes.
Where you were a year ago?
Thinking about this, going through the process last year, how much more complicated it was because we were working from a place where we're trying to create something out of nothing. And it's nice to have at least the framework of a budget to start off this and then make it a little bit easier. It's also amazing just the amount of changes and the things we've implemented already this year. I'm not going to go through all those because it was in our business plan that we presented to you. I'm happy to address any of them in more detail if you're interested or have concerns about any of them. But we've made tremendous strides so far. I remember Commissioner Benton last year remarked when I was sitting here by myself that he saw I brought my complete staff with me. And I'm happy to report, even though Denise, as you all know, is my court administrator, is sitting beside me, she is not my complete staff. It is nice to have a staff now that I can work with, and I certainly appreciate the commissioners last year working with me in a unique situation where I was not yet an elected official, but going through the budget process, working with me to create a budget that we could find some middle ground on and work with. Of the budget that we presented this year, we'll go back one more thing. I am so very excited about moving into the
I was going to say, now you have a home, too.
Yes.
Boy, now you have a nice desk.
Yes.
I mean, desk, not a desk, a bench. A bench. Oh, my gosh.
Courtroom.
And
It's really
as I
nice.
think you're aware, Denise, myself, my staff attorney, Mike Walton, and our alternative dispute resolution coordinator, Judy Maxwell, are already over at the new building and can't wait to move everybody else over there at the end of this week. It's been difficult, the setup that we currently have because lack of space. I've had employees on the two different levels of the old courthouse over in the old law library, or the current old library, the old jail, people over the new courthouse, and people over at juvenile court. And it's starting on Friday, we will all be under one roof on the same floor, and I think there'll be the chance that we can truly unify the court and start doing what my vision has been for the court all along. So very excited about that. You also mentioned we've been really short on courtrooms. We've had 4 magistrates, visiting judges, and myself all sharing 2 courtrooms. So that obviously builds a bottleneck to getting cases through the system when we have courtroom space. Over there, we're going to have 1 courtroom, 4 hearing rooms, and it will really help us to address the cases so that we can get them done in a more timely manner. As far as the 2018 budget, I don't believe there are much changes from the 2017 budget. It's substantially similar. 2 points I would make on it is there is an increase in compensation. That increase is due to the fact that when we were going through the budget process last year, we had several, I think it was 5 employees that were mid-year hires, thinking that the courthouse was going to be completed in June. I think most of them were scheduled in at 6-month hires. We're now moving into 2018. Those will all be full-year salary positions. The only other slight difference is we have 1 magistrate that is retiring, and to pay for the sick leave and vacation time was roughly $10,000 that was also added to the compensation. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
I appreciated the thoroughness of your business plan, and then you even gave us supplemental information. It was all very well written, and
I appreciate that, but to be honest, I must pass that on to my court administrator. That was
Denise is a good writer, too.
I'll take all the credit.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah, very, very well done.
Thank you.
No, go ahead.
Commissioner Romero?
I just have one kind of question / observation. Just you're referring here to bottleneck and trying to catch up, and understand that. But once you get caught up in a theoretical fiscal being responsible, you might need a little less help once you get caught up. I just ask that you keep that in mind as you go forward, because the county has got a lot of requests being asked of us this year, a lot. There's going to have to be some cuts somewhere, and we obviously want you to have the tools to do your job, but the business side of me says we need to do that as fiscally conservative as we possibly can, and just ask you to consider that as you make hires and make evaluations. So.
Certainly understand that and appreciate it. I know that's some of the conversations we had last year about we didn't want to overstaff and then be looking at do we have to do a correction and to get rid of staff. I'll always be looking at whether or not we need the staffing that we have. It's still my estimation that we will, just because the caseload and the type of cases that we have in Delaware County with the disposable income that people have creates more litigation in cases. The current magistrate staffing has been set, and we've already had them hired. And part of the problem is completing cases in a timely manner and addressing the ones that are past due. The ones that are older, we'll continue to address and reduce those. We reduced those by over 25% already this year. But we've done that by tightening our belt. Quite frankly, we can't tighten it much more. And we need the additional magistrates now to do that. But certainly moving forward in the future, I saw where the Job and Family Services had a decrease in staff and how much you guys appreciated them coming to you. And I thought that was certainly something everybody in the county should be looking at.
That's all I have.
Okay. Just a couple of other things. You know, a year ago, you basically had a plan, and obviously didn't have anybody on staff yet. How does the head count you're budgeting for 2018 compared to what was planned, again, a year ago, fall
I
of
believe
2018?
and as far as the compensation, it's the same, other than the difference between a mid-year hire and being a full-year hire in 2018.
Right. But
That's the right term.
Yeah.
A full-time employee in 2018.
Okay.
But the overall compensation, other than that, is identical except for the 3%.
Okay, so no staff increase versus what your plan was last year?
We aren't fully staffed yet, and there is no way
Still
I'm
not
coming
there.
to you asking for more staff, and we aren't fully staffed yet, and that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
So, no, we are not looking for additional staff at this time.
Okay. How has the caseload been this year, trend-wise, and versus what you expected?
It's about where we thought it would be. Our biggest issue is getting rid of old cases. In February, we had 98, what the Supreme Court calls pending past guideline cases.
Saw that.
We're down.
You've whittled into that some, apparently.
We have. And when I ran the numbers, these aren't official numbers yet, because we have to go in and make sure everything is accurate. But as of yesterday, we're down to 73. So more than a 25% reduction. But those take enormous amount of time to get rid of those, as far as how much writing time it takes. And what we're doing, we haven't been able to do this because we haven't had courtroom space. But now that we're moving into the new courtroom or courthouse, we're having the new magistrates and myself take cases off the magistrates that have the older cases that need to be written, so that to free up their docket time so that they can write it. Because the problem is magistrates don't have enough time to write their decisions. We think we have a plan in place once we're over there to attack that aggressively and to ensure that we won't get more cases going that way. But the overall number of cases, type of cases are pretty consistent to how they've been.
Okay. What do you expect for next year, for 2008, in terms of caseload?
I don't expect a major change anyway. I think there was a buildup of cases when we were going through the Great Recession. People didn't have money to file for a change of custody or file for divorce. And they may be living separate and apart, but they just didn't have the money to pay for the attorneys to go through it. So don't have that table in front of me, but around 2009, 10, 11, I think there was a surge in number of cases, and then it's kind of gone back to a normal level now. I don't have any or any thoughts that there's going to be a great change, other than with the increase in population in Delaware County, it's just going to continue to generally increase over time.
Okay. I noticed in the budget that there are no revenues in next year's budget.
I just caught that.
Okay.
Karen and I will get those.
Okay,
numbers.
so I figured that was probably just
our one main revenue source, because the filing fees, we do not get, it goes to the general fund. Our main revenue source is our 4D contract with Child Support Enforcement Agency, and that's for cases where we're doing Child Support Enforcement Agency cases. We get paid a hourly amount on that. If you have questions, I think Denise would be able, she's been more involved with that contract, but that's our major amount of revenue. Then we have some that we have special project funds that come out of filing fees.
Certainly what I could do is we bill almost monthly on that. We had a little bit of a slower start at the beginning of this year, but we are pretty well caught up at the, now. I could provide you with that documentation, or Cy with the documentation.
Yeah, I think just Cy and Karen, so they can get a good number in there, because again, we had it at 0, and this year you're at 81,000 through 10 months, so I figured it was probably just an oversight. Okay, I'm not sure I had anything else, because again, like you said, it's pretty much, 17 was a transitional year and build-up year, and 18 is kind of hopefully a more normal year and a regular year versus where you're adding staff, moving, juggling all these locations and so on. So I didn't really have a whole lot else.
One other thing on the type of hearings report, I noticed there was a very high number of domestic violence cases with civil protection orders. In here, I know we're working really hard to get Turning Point, our domestic violence shelter, funded, and then so it can open, which I believe is going to happen next year. But boy, that's a big figure, 852. And that was under, let's see here, the only thing higher was support enforcement or modification, which, you can expect as couples work out their support levels and stuff. But any comment on that domestic violence?
I'll be happy to supplement and provide you more information about that. I believe that is the number of hearings we had on those type of cases, not the number of cases actually filed.
Okay.
So,
okay.
For example, with the civil protection order, the way it works is when you file a civil protection order, usually that's done through victim services at the prosecutor's office, and we have to have an ex parte hearing, emergency. So
Okay.
we have to have one. Usually it's the same day. It could be the next business day, but usually it's the same day. And then we have to schedule for a hearing. If we grant the CPO, we have to schedule a hearing within 10 days.
Okay.
Oftentimes at that second hearing, the respondent has just gotten notice or may not have gotten notice, and we have to continue it.
Okay.
If they just got notice, oftentimes they request a continuance to get an attorney. And then so now we're scheduling a third hearing, all within usually a month. So I think that number in part is because of the number of hearings we have to have.
Oh, I
per
see.
civil
Okay,
protection
doesn't mean
order
separate
filed.
cases.
No.
Okay, phew,
But
okay.
if you'd like to have that number, we could certainly provide that to you.
Okay, okay, thank you. Great.
It's kind of a
I assume
scary
the fees are set by
Yeah, that is-
statute that you charge?
I'm sorry?
The fees are set by statute?
Yes. Except for our, if I remember right,
Mediation fee.
we have some special project fees that are not set by statute, but the majority of the fees are set by statute.
Because it appears that, I don't know how to say this, well, it nowhere covers the cost of these divorce hearings,
no.
et cetera.
No.
In a perfect world, it should, but it seems like the percentage is pretty small.
And some of the hearings that we have, we can't charge fees. Like the civil protection orders, those are by statute. We cannot charge fees on those cases. And some of those get expensive because I've had several that I've done this year that we've had to have interpreters. So we're paying for interpreters to come in for the parties. And that is coming out of our budget, out of the general fund to do. And we can't collect fees on that either. So not only are the court costs waived on those cases, but if there's additional costs for translators or other things, that's something else by statute we have to bear.
interesting. Okay. Other
No others.
Cy?
Thank you. Very
Okay.
well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
As always, if you have any questions, we'll always have to answer any questions you guys have.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Martin, could you hang around about 5 minutes when we get through here?
Yes, sir.
Was the most frequent visitor during the construction. Every time we go for the walkthrough, he
Was ours there?
That's good, yeah.
And the happiest?
Yeah, happiness, yeah, yeah.
No capital requests?
No.
I didn't think I saw any.
We do have, the Board of Elections is being rescheduled to 1:30 today.
30?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means we can recess?
Yes.
1:30? Recess until 1:30? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. It
All right, with nothing else for now, we will recess until 1:30 this afternoon.